Here on this video, we will start talking about the income distribution, or how the national output would be distributed between labor and capital. Okay, and we still start with the microeconomic foundation, which is the profit maximization behavior of a typical firm. Okay. And as we previously discussed, the profit earned by this firm would be a difference between the total revenue and the total cost. Okay, so the total revenue would be P times Y. Y is how many units of output the firm produces, and P is the market price for each unit of output. Okay, so P times Y would be, if you would like to think about the monetary way, and this would be the money the firm earned from the market. Okay, the total cost consists of two parts: the labor cost and the capital cost. Okay, the labor cost will be uppercase letter W, which is nominal wage, times the units of labor, and the nominal rental price times the units of capital. Okay, now the math trick we're gonna do here is we will divide both sides of this equation by P, the price of output. So the left hand side would be the profit divided by P. This is the real profit, or the economic profit. Okay, now you could imagine that instead of using the monetary term or the dollar amount, now what we're saying is the firm's profit is expressed in the units of its output. Now, for example, Goodyear, okay, the tire manufacturer, instead of saying that Goodyear makes $3 million profit this year, here we're saying that Goodyear makes 30,000 tires of profit. Okay, and so on the right hand side, the first one would be just Y, because P canceled out, right? We need to P times Y divided by P, so what's left over would be Y. Okay, that's output. And then the second term here is W over P times L. Okay, and the third one is R over P times K. Alright, and of course here W over P will be the real wage, and R over P would be real rental price. Okay, as discussed before. Now here is the most interesting thing. Okay, we're gonna see that these the real profit equals 0, and we would like to ask you to think about why. Okay, why we believe this would be equal to 0. Okay, regardless of the output level or the level of labor and capital inputs. Okay, it's going to be equal to 0, especially in the long term. Why? Put it differently, we're saying that the economic profit of this typical firm is 0. Okay, we're trying to make sense of this, and I would like to leave this for you guys to think about, and then during our virtual meeting we can discuss it. Okay, and here to be able to find the answer, you need to tell the difference between economic profit and accounting profit. Okay, once again, this is something you should already learned from intro or intermediate microeconomics. Okay, now here once again, to draw that conclusion, we leave the assumption. Okay, the assumption is this is a perfectly competitive firm. Okay, and again later at our virtual meeting we will explain why this assumption is critical for us to draw the conclusion. Okay, all right, now let's take that as given. All right, like this equation, this real profit equals 0. Okay, then we could figure out how the national income is distributed between labor and capital. Okay, what we will do is we're gonna move the second item and the third one to the right hand side of the equation, because all of these together equals 0, right? We're gonna move the labor cost and capital cost to the right hand side, and then we won't have the minus sign anymore, right? It becomes positive. So what's left on the left hand side of the equation would be just y. Okay, here y equals W over P times L plus R over P times K. As we said previously, the real wage equals marginal product of labor, so we can use MPL to replace W over P and MPK to replace R over P. Alright, so you get this one. We use both, okay, the real wage ones, or the real rental price, or the marginal product ones. Okay, it depends upon the specific situation. Now here again, the math is the tool, and we want to clarify the economic intuition behind this equation. Okay, I would like to strongly encourage you to pause the video and give yourself a moment to think about what's the intuition behind this equation. Okay, alright, so here the intuition is on the left hand side, that's the national output or income, right? But remember, this is the real income, it's not expressed in dollar amount. Okay, and then the first item on the right hand side, as we said, that this is the real wage. In other words, how much every unit of labor makes. Okay, and times L, that's how many units of labor used in production. So the real wage times L, that's the total labor income. Okay, the total labor income in the production. Similarly here, R over P is a real rental price, okay, per unit of capital, and K is the number of units of capital. So this product here is the total capital income. Alright, putting together, the economic intuition is the national income is distributed between the labor and capital, and this is how much labor would receive, okay, and this is how much the capital would receive. Okay, or you could say, this is the first one is how much workers altogether would make, and the second part on the right hand side is how much the capital owners would receive altogether. Okay, and you notice that because the economic profit is 0, there's nothing left here. Okay, every unit of output is distributed. Okay, all right, and so here what we find is the labor share of income and the capital share of income, right? But this is just the theory or theoretical conclusion, and we do want to know, what in the real world, in the real production, what the share looks like. Okay, and then we find this the following somehow trying to see if all right, here we go. And so this is a historical data about the labor share of total income for the US economy from 1960s all the way to recent years. Okay, amazingly, you find labor share of total income is relatively stable, okay, or persistent, and specifically that number is fluctuating around 0.7 or 0.75. Okay, in other words, we're saying that in the U.S. economy in the past 5 or 6 decades, all the workers together makes about 70 to 75% of total output or total income, and the capital owners makes the remaining 25%. Okay? And this empirical observation was first made by an economist named Paul Douglas. Okay? And once he found it, he tried to use a mathematical function to show this constant labor share of total income. And so he went to his colleague Charles Cobb, and Cobb told him that this is just the exponential function, okay, we could use to generate that constant labor's income or labor's share of total income. And this exponent function later was named after them. Okay, so it's called the Cobb-Douglas function, or the CD function. Okay? Again, we saw this before, right, when we talk about the production function. And Y is the total output. Here, A stands for technological innovation. Okay, it's a specific letter. But remember, here, A is not a variable. Okay, A is a constant. Okay, A is given. And K is the units of capital. L is the units of labor. Alpha and beta are the exponents. Okay, and later we're gonna explain what's their economic intuition, what alpha and beta measures. Okay. All right. Now here we're gonna put one more assumption into our analysis, which is this CD function is a CRS function. In other words, constant returns to scale. Now in the third worksheet, when we solved these 3 examples, 3 CD functions I gave you, we already derived the rule of thumb. We said that when we add up the exponents for labor and capital, if they are equal to 1, it is a CRS. Do you remember that? And we also said that if the sum is greater than 1, it's IRS. If it's less than 1, it's a DRS. Right? So here, by assumption, we believe it's a CRS. That means alpha plus beta equals 1. Okay? Alpha plus beta equals 1. Now here, we would like to replace beta with 1 minus alpha. Okay? So, because the sum is 1, so of course beta equals 1 minus alpha. And this way, we would have one less constant to deal with. So here again, the dependent variable is Y. It's output or the total income. Independent variables would be capital and labor. And we have 2 parameters or constants. They are A, okay, the measure of technological innovation, and alpha, the milling we're gonna explain later. All right, and in the next video, we're gonna talk about with this CD function how we can better understand the determinants of the real factor prices. In other words, real wage and a real rental price. Okay, and you would find that with a specific mathematical expression in front of us, we can do more math. We can do more graphical analysis as well. Okay, to figure this out, how the real factor prices are determined.